I think the most one of the most powerful takeaways, challenges that you pose in the book is the schedule it in thing, man. Because the biggest thing that I hear, and I know you must hear constantly every single day, is like, I don't have time, man. You don't know my life. I got this, I got that, I got this. Yep. It's not going to happen for me.
Right. What you don't have is you haven't prioritized your life correctly. We all have time. We all have time. What you've done wrong is that you didn't prioritize yourself. You didn't prioritize that, look, motherfucker, I got to get up and win this war today against myself. I need to look better. I need to feel better. I need to eat better. I need to prioritize time.
Or I got to run 100 miles on broken feet.
Or you got to do
whatever
that.
It is.
That's it. That's it, man. There's a lot of growth in that shit.
So I like this idea of, taking this inventory tool and applying it to how you're spending your time throughout the day. I talk about this a lot. You went into detail in this challenge about, look, man, if you actually write down how you're spending your time throughout the day over a 7-day period, you're gonna. I mean, it's crazy because I thought I was being pretty efficient with my time, and I've done this, and it's just amazing how much time is wasted that you're not even consciously aware.
It's unreal how much time you waste during the day. And most of it is on these fucking computers, phones, Instagramming back and forth, whatever the fuck you call this shit nowadays, tweeting and texting and shit. We waste so much time on our little gadgets. It's unreal. And we talk about we have no time. If you really you have to take your day and write down this one day. Everything you do, write that down. And you're like, my God, I am wasting so much time on frivolous bullshit that's not even funny. I mean, it will, if it doesn't infuriate you, it should. Because there's so much time. I can't get it in. Look at your schedule. You just wasted 7 hours a day on bullshit. I mean, and you don't have an hour a day to try to get something in for yourself. I guarantee everybody can find an hour.
Then it becomes about willingness.
Yeah.
Because most people they're not willing to get up that early or to make those sacrifices required. So it's a function of how badly do you want to change your life, and what are you willing to endure to craft that life that you aspire to have, or do you just want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking miserable. It is miserable. I mean, to get up every day, 5 days a week, whatever, when it's snowing, shiny, not shiny, not comfortable, to go to the gym and work out when you don't want to go to the gym, it is not fun.
Well, and we're in a culture that is driving everybody towards this idea that happiness is purchased through luxury, comfort, and ease. The truth could not be more different from that reality. That if you want to find peace with yourself, self-understanding, self-knowledge, self-esteem, all of these things are going to be found only through sacrifice, getting uncomfortable, reevaluating what your normal is, and putting yourself in situations that you don't want to fucking do.
Yes, and we want it very fast. If you don't see results in the first 2 days or the first week, I'm done. That's the mentality of most people. The struggle is too real. We're not patient. Like in a world where you can Google the best restaurants around me right now, no one is patient. And for you to lose weight, for you to stop drinking, where the hell you're going through, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and a lot of pitfalls, a lot of plateaus. You're gonna hit so many fucking plateaus. If you don't know how to get around that plateau, it's not gonna happen fast.
Yeah, everybody wants the hack.
Yeah, everybody wants to hack. There is no hack, man. There's no hack.
What do you think is the biggest stumbling block that most people face in this country?
Honestly, is they have the woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, you start to judge yourself off other people. Like if you're a female, she's skinny, she doesn't work out as well. Everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people, what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many fucking people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that bullshit, all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow and realizing I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline, and this is how I'm going to run it.
I think that so many people are so disconnected from themselves. They're operating on autopilot. They're reacting to their environment, that even when given the opportunity to set a goal for themselves, they generally don't set the right goal.
Right.
Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because they don't even know who they are fundamentally.
That's the big thing, man. And that's why it was important for me to finally realize, stop being all these fake people I used to be. Stop being afraid. There was no growth until I cut myself down to nothing, to the person I really was, the real human being. And once I found out who I really was, that's when I started growing. I was trying to build on top of a lied, fucked up foundation. You can't build a house on a fucked up foundation. So I had to get down to the actual mineral soil of who I was, and that's when you can start real growth.
And what is the role that suffering plays in that, or the willingness to suffer?
It starts to peel all those layers away, all those artificial layers away. If you're willing to suffer and go back in the grind, that internal dialogue you have with yourself when you're in misery and you're uncomfortable, it's a real, scary, unfiltered, no lying dialogue between you and yourself. And people know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about when you're in a bad spot in life and your mind is saying all kind of shit. That's who you really are. That's the real you. No Rocky Balboa moments going on up there. You're like, hey, you know, it's round 14. Let's come on, we got this. No, it's like, fuck this. I'm out of here, man. It's crazy. That's where the growth happens. When you're able to stay in that moment and talk yourself back into the suck of wherever you're going through, and you start stripping those layers away. But as you're stripping those layers away, you're building calluses over top of shit in your mind. That's where the growth starts to happen, is when you have to force yourself to stay in it. You can't leave it. That's why ultras are such a great vehicle for self-exploration. And that's why you see all of these cultures over the millennia that you talk about in your book, who use running as a means of self-exploration and a path to enlightenment. Because you can't bullshit yourself. When it strips you down to who you are, and you are confronted with the truth of yourself and your reality, and you're forced to wrestle with that in a way where there's no escape hatch. No. Like that first 100-mile race I've talked about several times, where I lost everything. Still the hardest physical thing you've ever done, right? Yes, physically and mentally, because like you just said, I was unprepared for that race. No training. You should just recap it. Like zero training, running 100 miles so that you could impress Chris Kosman. To get in the bad water, pretty much, right? And what about impressing that guy by any means? Well, you needed him to sign off. I needed to sign off on it. And it was like 3 days later, I'm in a 100-mile race, no training at all. And when you do that, it is stupid. But what it does, if you're not going to quit it, like you just talked about, it breaks you down to nothing. You are suffering so badly, mentally and physically, that all of these demons are coming up. And you're trying to find answers. It was like living 19 hours. It was like 5 years I put in 19 hours of highs and lows and pitfalls and seeing the sun come up. And it was like, my God, I lived 5 years in 19 hours. It was unbelievable. So you find yourself chasing that now with every ultra challenge? No, because once you realize what you get from ultra, what you get from life, I can apply that now just by sitting here with you. You know, those tools now, I don't need to go out, even though I still do it, and go out and hammer. The hammering part is like, it's like a purging of the soul. And you go out there and hammer out there. You got to do that every once in a while. You got to hammer, man. You got to get after it. But now I figured out so many different ways and so many different tools through all of the journeys I've been through just growing up, man. Just being mature, just being really mature and not holding on to hate. Really just letting all that shit go, man, and starting from scratch, and let's go forward. How do you let it go? I don't think enough about people that have wronged me, or situations that have wronged me. Because once you've come to a place where you are really happy with who you are in life, no one fucks with you anymore. even though they're fucking with you, it doesn't fuck with you. You know, like all these, I used to be so hurt by everything in the military, and if someone did something or said something, like, man, I have overcome so much shit. There's not, I'm just in a really good headspace right now. My headspace, I own it. A lot of people own other people's headspace. I own my own shit now.
What do you mean own? Like they're just all caught up in what other people think about them and running all these narratives in their
That's
mind
right. They're more caught up in what other people think about them than how you feel about your own personal self. So a lot of people have their brain and their mind on rent to a whole bunch of motherfuckers in the world. I am paying rent on my own shit. I finally put a down payment on it, and I'm making payments every daggone day on my own fucking brain. So you don't fucking control that shit anymore, man. I got it.
So walk me through a day in the life. What's it look like right now?
Well,
I mean, it's got to be crazy.
Right now, I leave here and I fly out to Oregon, and I'll be in Oregon with Cameron Haynes. We'll be getting at you for a few days. A lot more podcasts, a lot more interviews, but every day, every morning I get up, I still get my run in every morning.
How do you structure the training?
The training is basically structured off of my schedule. So look at my schedule, and I say, okay, Jennifer, what do we have today? We have this at 7 o'clock in the morning. Roger that. That means I got to be up by 4 o'clock in the morning to run. That's how it works. That's how all my shit works. So she lays out the schedule of events.
2 hours. You just set it 2 hours earlier or whatever.
She says it could take an hour to get to Rich Rolls. Let's say we were at 7 o'clock today in the morning. It takes an hour to get to Rich Rolls with no traffic. Okay, let's block in an hour 15 for Rich Roll. Okay, we got that. The morning time, I'm gonna run 7 miles this morning. I need 52:30 for that. Roger that. Put in shit, shower, shave. Add that in. So the schedule dictates, but I have all that time.
Just push it back, right? So if that means getting up at 1:30,
trust me.
Roger that.
I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Several.
How much sleep
times.
do you usually get?
I like getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Nowadays I can do that. But there's times where the schedule says, hey man, you're getting 3 hours. And if that's the case,
right.
Merry Christmas.
One of the things I felt that that maybe Joe Rogan didn't quite grasp was why you would go out and become this wildland firefighter at this stage in your life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He had a look on his face like, what the fuck? That's once again going back to the roots, going back to who I am, how I became who I am today. And it comes back from hard work. It comes back from having that very minimalistic mindset. And when you're out there, man, and you're 43 and I've accomplished a lot of shit, you're out there with some 20-year-old kids and you're nobody again. Being nobody, there's a lot of power in being nobody. There's a lot of power from going to scratch again and going back out there, picking up a Pulaski and just digging fire line. You're just another guy on the line digging a fire line. And no one, there's no text message. There's no, my God, David, can you sign my book? No, motherfucker. Get your ass out there.
It's like being in Army Ranger School
again,
where all the titles are removed.
That's exactly what it is, man. And I've always lived that lifestyle. I always talk about living day one, week one. I started day one, week one at Bud so many fucking times. And when you hear that, your heart just crumbles like, fuck, day one, week one again, man. I can go through all that shit again. Like I said, it became my new norm. And I found so much growth in that day one, week one mentality. But what I did wrong, I tried to put that mentality on a lot of people. They don't want it.
What do you think people most misunderstand about your story?
I'm not happy. The biggest thing is to say, look at his eyes. Look at his eyes, man. You see his eyes? He has demons in his eyes. He's so unhappy. I'm like,
there's a lot of projection.
You know, and I see some of this shit. I think the biggest thing is I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. You know, all this shit. They're so missing the point, man. What they see in me is a very focused, driven human being who found a buried fucking treasure within himself. Not many people found it. So the journey I'm on is very different than most people. It's about don't judge people. I'll say that many times. I don't judge people. I'm judged a lot by how I look. My eyes, my not smiling all the time, not laughing, not joking. And that's the big, I'm a funny motherfucker. Big time. But guess what? Right now, it's easy to be happy. It's easy to smile. Those are the good times. The good times. Those times don't need to be trained. You know, I had to train myself for good times. Those times, for most people, don't need to be trained. What I'm trying to give you all is the misery of sometimes we go through in life. Those are the times we don't want to fucking talk about. We want to skip forward to peace. Let's just fucking fuck all this. Let's skip all this pain and suffering and misery of real life. Let's cover it over, nice big blanket, and let's find peace. No. Sorry. It's not possible. You gotta go into that fucking hellhole of life that you have, that fucks you up, and fix it. And that's what I'm here to do.
You gotta go to war with yourself before there's peace.
That's what I say in the book. You must go to war with yourself before you find peace. So I'm trying to give you tools on how to do that. And I'm not considered to smile and be happy about it. It's a hard journey. It's a real journey. It's a journey that's going to take you way outside of being comfortable. You'll be very, very uncomfortable.
But it's what we're here to do.
Very.
I mean, I love that. Don't see that. I love that story that you tell about, you know, showing up at the pearly gates and wanting to be evaluated based upon your potential.
That's right.
What I mean, I believe we're here to grow and progress and evolve. And if you're not committed to that journey, then I think you're missing the beauty of life. And that doesn't mean it's easy, because it fucking ain't. It is the warrior's path, truly.
100%.
But if you don't acclimate to challenging yourself and facing obstacles and becoming better on a consistent daily basis, then what the fuck are you doing?
100%. And sometimes you have to put the obstacle in front of you. That's why I went to be
right. So now life's good and easy. No. So you have to create these obstacles.
That's the thing about it. I have no obstacles anymore, man. Life is good.
So I'm going to go up to Montana or Wyoming or wherever the fuck you go to go.
I go to Montana and said, here's my obstacle. So once your life gets easy and everything is great, it's time to go online and Google some obstacles to put right the fuck in front of you.
And when you look back on your childhood and you think about your dad, do you find peace with that? Do you find gratitude?
100%, man. For me to start this journey, I had to go back to where it started from. And I came from that man. That man is a part of me. I had to accept that. I had to accept that a lot of my insecurities, why that man beat me, why that man beat my mom, why that man got in my head, and everybody said he had a fucked up life. I had to study him. And I had to realize, I had to find peace with all that. I had to realize that what he did, it wasn't like he hated me. Mm-hmm. He hated himself. And so once you start to grow up, and like I say, take the different vantage point, I had to forgive that man. Even though I didn't say sorry, he never said sorry. We had our last conversation at 22 years old, and he died about 4 or 5 years ago. That was the last time I talked to him at 22 years old.
But he was able to see you become successful from a distance.
I think it hurt him. Because he saw me become a man that he was very proud of, and he didn't have much to do with it. But once again, I didn't hate him for that.
He was the fuel beneath it all.
He was a lot of the fuel, man. But but I will say this, anger was never my fuel. A lot of people think that.
I would think that would be maybe a big misconception about you.
It is.
It's easy to look at you, and that guy is lit up on anger and resentment and rage.
Back in the day. So I gotta say, I've never said this before. I was actually telling my fiance this the other day. People think anger was my fucking fuel. Anger can be a fuel. Anger got me to look into things to become better. I want to show him. But I can tell you one thing, when you're suffering and you're fucking at the wit's end and you want to fucking quit, that anger is gone, brother.
Well, it's also not a sustainable fuel source.
Your mind is thinking about, let's get the fuck out of here. So I realized this anger ain't shit. I didn't think about my dad beating me up. I didn't think about kids calling me nigga. I didn't think about any of that shit. I thought about, man, this fucking water is cold as balls. Man, I get the fuck out of here. So I realized anger was no fuel for me. It may have got me to say, I want to be somebody. Anger got me caught up in some serious ego trips, man.
Yeah. And on the subject of sustainable fuel sources, motivation's not your favorite.
Motivation is just
Goggins is so motivational. I'm so motivated. I'm so inspired.
Motivation is just kindling, man. Yeah. It's just kindling, like all these fires that happen out here in California, man. So tragic what happened out here. But those fires start by a little motivation. And that's what I'm looking at, man. It's like a little spark starts these big fires. And it's so crazy. That's why I look at motivation. Motivation is just a spark, but those little sparks, if somebody comes by real quick with some water, that fire's down, it's out. But if you come by and that little fire, no one touches it, and that little fire, which is motivation, which is kindling, and that kindling goes off to, like they call it, 1 hour fuels, 2 hour fuels, 10 hour fuels, 10,000 hour fuels. You want that thing to boil over and catch a nice big log. It's going to burn a long time. And that big log starts catching everything on fire. This is your soul. So motivation a lot of times can be fucking just put some water on it, puts it out. That motivation needs to turn into drive, passion, obsession to what you want to become. And once you become obsession or driven, it's a fucking inferno. So now you got to call in tons of firefighters and call in for help from here, call in for help from there. And they're not putting that shit out. Only thing that can take that thing out, it's got to burn itself out.
But obsession is self-generated. You can't
100%.
will another person to become obsessed. That has to, be something that is cultivated deep inside yourself. And most people never experience what it's like to be obsessed. And I think we put a negative label. Label on obsession.
Hell yeah.
He's obsessed.
No, to me, it's a daggone, it's a compliment. It's a compliment, man, to be. And a lot of times it can fuck you up. It can ruin your life. You can be obsessed, but I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be great, you want to be the baddest motherfucker ever at what you do, you can be misunderstood by everybody. Because you're going to be so fucking obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes.
That's the truth.
It takes every second of your fucking life. Anybody says balance? Yeah, balance is important for a lot of fucking people. It is. But if you want to fucking go to that edge where people do not like you, don't understand you, question everything you fucking do, you've arrived. When you are misunderstood to the point where fucking people think you're psycho and you're nuts and you're this and that, why are you in the fucking gym at 1 o'clock in the fucking morning? You just got to doing an op for fucking 13, 14 hours at the Ranger School, man, at the gym. What's wrong? You will never understand what is wrong with me. And that's why I'm so fucking glad you don't. Because I'm in the right fucking spot. When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive. When people are like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
Boom.
Don't want you to get it.
Yeah.
Don't want you to get it.
Yeah, it's powerful, man. All right, well, we got to land this ship. But I want to leave people with a couple thoughts. This is going to go up on New Year's Day. It's the time of year where everyone's thinking about what they want their 2019 to look like. They should have been thinking about that a long time ago.
Right.
That's not the way it works for most people. So let's leave people. Let's get them, set on a good trajectory with a couple things to think about and execute on as they lead into January.
Roger that, man. It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
That's it, man. You have to change the dialogue within your head. And one thing I guarantee you, there's some stat out there about January 1. All that kindling that you started, all that motivation, usually burn out by about 10 to 12 days later. So let's see how far you can take that shit. Let's see if you can get a fucking
That is a challenge
going.
From Goggins to you.
Usually it's 10 to 12 days, man. People always come to me, man, hey, I want a workout program. I no longer give them anymore because you're going to waste my fucking time. Because I know most people out there, once that fucking one alarm clock goes off, the wrong time of the day, I'm not going to the gym.
Right. Or they get the workout program, but then they're like, hey, they hit you up again. What kind of watch do I need to get?
That's right.
What kind of shoes?
That's
the
right.
questions just keep coming. Every day goes by without anything going on.
Keep coming. Go to the store, buy a pair of shoes, and Merry Christmas. Have fun with that shit. Call me after you lose some fucking weight running your ass in the dirt, and then we'll work on some other shit.
Right on.
Get your base on. There you go, man.